A lot of talk about the college football playoff, expanding how they would do the teams that get into the playoff. Do you think it should be 12, 14, or 16? One former SEC coach thinks that 9 conference games should be mandatory for all the teams that want to play in the college football playoff. I think that's a good idea. We're going to talk about it on the Bama Tailgate Show. Thank you guys for being here with Shank. I'm Mick Gillespie. Let's get this thing going. All right, roll tide, everybody. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort. It's time for the Bama Tailgate Show. Alphonse Taylor, we know him as Shank. I'm Mick Gillespie. Great to see you guys today as we talk a little bit of Bama football. Let's start with recruiting, and then we're going to talk about the college football playoff. It's the 4th recruiting weekend in Tuscaloosa. Alabama, right around, they got 7 recruits right now that have committed to Alabama. It feels like this process has been a little slower this year. I don't know if it's because of the NIL or not, but a lot of the best in-state players are going to be in Tuscaloosa this weekend, right? Do you think it's important to have Alabama guys play at Alabama, or does that matter? I mean, as long as you have the best players.
No, I absolutely think it's important to have in-state guys because, you look on all those historically good teams, there's guys from our state as huge key parts of those teams, and I think that's what makes that tradition even better, right? Because you can look back historically at your A.J. McCanns, your Mark Barons, your Ryan Andersons, and the list goes on. Just so many great guys from Bama that played, and I definitely think that's part of the tradition, man, and they gotta keep that going, right? Because when you get that group of guys, I feel like it's a certain type of chemistry that's built that I can't really explain, especially on those teams where there's multiple guys from Mobile. I just felt like that was a different brotherhood within a brotherhood itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that just pushed you to be so much better, man, because, you see guys from like circumstances able to push forward and become something bigger than what anything they could have dreamed of. You want to be a part of that as well. You want that for yourself. And I just think it pushes you beyond normal bounds, man. It helps you surpass your normal limits. So I definitely think having in-state guys on the team is a huge chemistry booster and every bit a part of the Alabama tradition.
What's the difference between being recruited at Alabama and being recruited at Auburn, at least when you were going through the process?
That's a tough question for me, man, because I only went to one Auburn game and I knew I wasn't going to Auburn.
Right.
And, this is when Cam Newton was there. Like, I'm watching Cam Newton play, and, like, the game was great. But, you know what I'm saying? It was just something about it. And for me, like, I just knew I wasn't going to be an Auburn guy. And so it was an easy pick for me. And, I'll admit, before I went to Alabama, I was an LSU guy. And, I was raised down here in Mobile, Alabama. And if you know, Jamarcus Russell is from Mobile, Alabama. So I was absolutely on that Jamarcus Russell train. I was a huge LSU kid, all about it. I grew up that way. And, nobody in my family were even really Bama fans, and so I'm like the black sheep, so to speak, and so, but being a part of it now, I made the right decision without a doubt because it's just so much that goes into it, man. It's a different type of confidence and pride you carry about yourself, and I think just because I'm from the state, played at Alabama, and I was able to have some team success. That's something I get to carry with myself every day. That's something nobody can take from me on top of graduating from the University of Alabama twice. That's a very big deal, being a first generation college grad as well,
Yeah.
And so just to get, just to get that opportunity, man, and see it all the way through the way I did, and just to see other guys do it as well, like I take a lot of pride in being part of that brotherhood.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the same way too. Like when you talk about, a couple guys who are really important to this recruiting class, right? that are going to be there this weekend. Ezavier Crowell is a 4-star running back. Cederian Morgan, a 5-star wide receiver. You know, and these are battles between Alabama and Auburn to try to get these guys, and then some other schools in there too. But it feels like it's going to be, you know, a 2-horse race to get these guys. But I feel like no matter where you bring people in to play, right, and they could come from all over the country, and some of them are going to be like Tyler Booker last year, who's from like Connecticut, but he just is an Alabama guy through and through. He's been coming to camp since he's a little kid, you know. And then there's this guys like you and Coker and Ryan and, you know, and all these guys that grew up in the state. And when you put that uniform on and you go out there and play in front of all your friends and family, it just means something. And I think our friend Jake Coker, like the guy wins the national championship and he's holding the trophy and he's crying because he's just so happy that they won because he didn't want to let everybody else down because it meant that much to him, you know?
No, it definitely means that much, dog, because like, you know, Mick, even though you're from Baltimore, you've been down here long enough to understand that Alabama football is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And like Auburn, like say what you want, Auburn football is a lifestyle. Like college football is a lifestyle in this state, man. So it absolutely means that that much more to us, dog. And so it's a big deal. It's a really big deal to go to Alabama to have that success, to go to Auburn to have that success. You know, and so I'll say to my in-state guys, dog, you know, just you got to visit Bama. You got to come there. Like it comes with so much more after. And just like, I can't really explain it. You know, it's just, if I had to say, it's like you just walk in blessings, dog.
Yeah.
You just walk in blessings when football's all said and done. You know, if you take that opportunity, you stick to your grind, you know, you find something that you want to do, something you're passionate about, success is going to follow you in whatever you decide to do. And I feel like that's just that Bama network is that strong.
Yeah, I think that's a good topic too, the Bama network, because I explained this to my nephew, and he's at Alabama now. My sister came to Alabama. There's something special about the way that we treat each other being graduates at Alabama outside of the football part of it. You know, I mean, you're talking to like young men that are going to play football. Sometimes it doesn't work out. You might have to do other stuff, you know, and it's nice that when you walk in, if somebody's a Bama guy, you know, they might give you a little extra help.
Yeah. And on the flip side, man, they even have high expectations for you.
Yeah.
And when you're able to show up and you are a great person, you are a man of character, you know, somebody who carries himself a certain way, that earns you extra respect, you know, because a lot of people think when you come from a place like Alabama, you have an arrogance about you. And, you know, some people may think you're hard to work with, and they're so surprised when I'm just this humble, down-to-earth person. And, you know, I'm just a good Southern boy in aspects because yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And, you know, I'm gentle with people, and you know, it's just it garners a certain type of respect, man. That just have that humbleness and humility about you, even when your resume says otherwise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I think that's important to note as well, because you know anybody can walk in a room, talk about themselves, and you know brag about on all their accomplishments, but can you walk in a room empathetic, willing to help other people, be of service to people, and redefine yourself that way? And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, roll tide, and we'll see kind of how things turn out. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, like totally. I totally get everything you say, you know, because I feel exactly the same way. And with when these guys come through, and I hope that they see it more than just being out on the football field. I guess just maybe one other thing before we talk about the college football playoff expansion is I wonder how Kalen DeBoer and his staff are going to be able to continue the culture that was created there by Coach Saban and his staff. Because when Coach Saban came in, he wasn't an Alabama guy. I mean, he had never really been around Alabama except to beat them in football, or we beat them a couple times when he was at LSU. He comes in and now everyone thinks that Coach Saban is synonymous with Alabama, right? So to take that same thing, and it's like, Kalen DeBoer felt a little bit foreign last year, but it was his first year, and you wonder like how that extension is going to be this year. I think having Ryan Grubb there really gives him kind of another rock, as far as having some really good people around him.
Absolutely. I think Ryan Grubb definitely will help him settle in a whole lot better year two, because that's his guy, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen what a Ryan Grubb system looks like in play. But to DeBoer's defense, I feel like Saban had a leg up on him because Saban was an LSU guy.
Yeah.
And so I feel like SEC football is just like I said, it's a different lifestyle, man. And like in the SEC, like they are committed to their universities in football. It doesn't matter if they're bad or not. Like they're showing up, they're showing out for their university. So Saban was at LSU prior to Alabama, so he kind of understands how deep the culture can get.
Right.
And so it was a little easier for him to understand how serious Alabama was. But I think with DeBoer being a West Coast guy, this might be a little different feel for him. And, it's a little different down here. So I think year two he'll get a little more acclimated, a little more settled in, and he'll be just fine, especially with his guy Grubb at the helm. We'll get some more consistent play calling, I think, and we'll see that run game flourish again.
I love when you talk about the run game.
It's all about the run game, dog.
Always. Well, that's something for Crowell. Hey, we're going to run the ball, man. Probably throw it a lot too, but if you can catch and run, you'll probably like playing football with Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. This will be interesting to see, like I said, how this weekend turns out as Bama tries to build this class. Jet Tamala will be there. He's the new 4-star quarterback that just flipped from Iowa State. That's going to help a lot. I mean, once you get him, Chris Booker, both guys are committed already. They're in town. You're talking to Cederian Morgan, and you're like, hey man, here's Keelan Russell. The guy can spin it.
Right.
Here's the other guy, Jet Tamala. You already got a bunch of quarterbacks. And I'll say this about Ty Simpson. I don't know that there's a lot of programs around the country that have a guy who has earned the starting job quite as much as he has. And it doesn't work like this anymore. A lot of guys in his same spot would have transferred.
Right. And I mean, man, I think Ty Simpson is a great guy, a great quarterback, and I think he would have had success if he decided to enter the transfer portal. Like somebody would have came through and scooped him up quick.
Yeah.
And so just the fact that he stayed at Alabama, and I think he's going to get his chance to start this year. That says a lot about him and his ability as well as a quarterback. And so I'm excited to see the guy go, man. And like I feel like he's going to give us that traditional Bama feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to run the ball, get into some play action stuff. Our boy Jake loves that play action, right? get back into some of that old Bama stuff, man. And I think Ty's going to do great. But he's earned. I feel like he's earned his opportunity, man.
Me too.
I'm happy he stayed. And just look at the talent that's behind him. Just look at the type of guys that recruit. Look at the quarterback room as is already.
Yeah,
and he's still earned his stripes, man, and he's getting his chance. So I'm excited.
Yeah, roll Tide, man. Roll Tide. Love. It's exciting when we get closer to football. If you're going to have a new quarterback, have somebody that's been there for a while, that's put the time in, that understands the playbook, that has the ability to make all the plays, and that it has earned the respect of the locker room. I don't think anyone can show up and not respect the fact that the guy's been there for 4 years behind the scenes, doing everything that he's asked to do to get this opportunity.
And I mean, if you look at Bama historically, when we've had quarterbacks that have sat and waited their turn and they actually get a chance to go, they've all been successful.
Yeah.
Like we can even look back to Blake Sims. He waited for his chance, right? he finally gets in there, and we're a great team. We have some success. Like it's not like it's a anecdote we haven't seen before. It's worked out for us in the past, so I think it'll be the same this go round.
Yeah, that's a great comp right there. Except Blake Sims played running back and wide receiver. He's got to be one of the most, just
True
talented
athlete.
players ever.
Yeah, true athlete. Like there really wasn't nothing Blake couldn't do, man. He's like that Swiss Army knife guy,
Mm-hmm.
and that finally settled in at quarterback and had, I think, some great success at quarterback given the circumstances. And you can keep the comparison going because I mean, look at Mac Jones. He sat, waited his time,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything went well for him. So I think I see Ty Sampson along the same lines. He sat, he waited his opportunity, and he's honed his craft. And I think it's time for him to go. And I think he'll be good this year.
Yeah, same here. Hey guys, we're brought to you by New Life Art. Use our promo code Bama Tailgate. It's 20% off at checkout. So where'd you hear about it? Bama Tailgate at the end. Bama Tailgate. And New Life Art. It's Daniel Moore. Those amazing Alabama prints from some of our most famous moments. That includes now basketball. I've been begging them to do another basketball print, and they're doing Mark Sears and his buzzer beater against Auburn this year. But lots of great football memories. I'm in a hotel room, obviously, on the road with work. I would love to have one of those in here. We're getting Shank hooked up with one as well when I swing by there next time. You guys need to do the same thing. 20% off at checkout. Pimp out your man cave with New Life Art. And we're always brought to you by Pearl River Resort right there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. We'll talk more about them coming up. But it's getting hot. We got a heat wave coming. Geyser Falls Water Park. Hey, that is probably a good place to be here when the temperatures get over 100 degrees. I've been there before. It's fun. They got all kind of slides and lazy river and everything else. And it's a really great place to take the family. And maybe that's something for you to do, Shank. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa. It's pretty far. Maybe it's, what are we talking about? 3.5 from down here, but it's worth it. Be fun.
We get on that road, man. Get on that road.
Yeah, he gets on the road. So we'll get you. We'll get you some passes for that. Maybe we'll give some away here on the channel as well. All right. Last thing that I want to talk about is playoff expansion. Brett Bielema, who used to be at Arkansas, now he is at Illinois. He says that the conferences should play 9 conference games. I mean that teams ought to play 9 conference games, and that the playoff field ought to be 16. And I don't have a problem with that. I honestly, the last year it felt like Indiana got in and they didn't really have to play anybody. Somehow they avoided some of the best teams.
All right. Hey, we gonna get to some March Madness tournament style brackets here soon. And like we gonna fill out some playoff brackets. I like it. Let's do it. Why not? Why not? 16 teams. Why not? Yeah, because you that many teams, all the more reason for the person at the top that comes out as champ, even more proven.
Right.
Just like if we're gonna keep leveling the grounds, if every year they feel like it's not fair and we improve it, then there shouldn't be. At some point, there should be 0 complaints, right? I mean, and so I think it's a good one. I think we should go with it. 16 teams. Why not? Dog eat dog, and you prove yourself. You got to win or go home.
Yep, I think you put it. You put it right there, and you're exactly right. And I like the idea of expanding the playoff field because I'll tell you this: we've already expanded it so much that you got some teams that you're going. You know what? It would have been a better tournament last year to have Ole Miss, Alabama, and South Carolina in. I don't know about other teams around the country, but 16 is, I think it's 16 works for me. Turn it into a big tournament, like Mike Leach said. And more conference games are fine. I mean, like they're big games. I mean, think about it. We had the 2020 season. We played 10 conference games, and it was amazing. It was one of the best seasons I ever remember. So I'm excited to see what happens. You know, the committee met. They broke up already, but they were talking about using, having five conference champions and then 11 at-large bids. Right. There was one model that had 4 SEC teams mandatory, 4 Big Ten, and then they split it up. And how's that work? I would rather them do the conference championship teams and then the 11 most deserving teams. But I don't even know how you do that because some of these conferences aren't really comparable to the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, they're not. And I mean, that's the issue every time, though. The lack of competition in the other conferences, how easy it is for some to make it, and the gauntlet that others have to go through. And so from that standpoint, hopefully, I think NIL is going to change a lot of that.
Yeah.
The competitive balance is going to swing a little bit. And as far as the SEC goes, nothing really changes for us. Just everybody else just kind of starts to catch up.
Yep.
And so from that aspect, I think NIL will balance out college football. And so we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited about it, man, because it's just been a bunch of unknown now. You just never know who's going to be good, who's going to pop out, who has hidden superstars any given day.
Yeah, like Scadaboo.
Right.
One of our most successful video is you talking about Scadaboo not moving.
They were mad at me, dog. They were mad. They wanted to fight for their boo-boo. Hey, I respect it, as they should. But yeah.
Hey, 2 months in, and Scadaboo's the biggest pop we've had so far.
Who would have thought? My little comments down here in Mobile, Alabama, that had the West Coast people that mad, dog.
Oh man, well you have a great weekend. Everybody have a great weekend for hanging out. Again, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. We appreciate those guys so much. The Timeout Sports Lounge and Golden Moon Casino is a Vegas-style sports book. You got Silver Star and Golden Moon Casino right there next to Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, the Augusta. You can play 2 multi-million-dollar courses. You don't have to have a membership to play. Talked about Geyser Falls. You also got the spa that's out there. And then on top of that, some great concerts and comedians. Jeff Dunham's there this summer, and they've had a collection of some of the best acts in the country and in the world that have swung by Pearl River Resort. So you guys have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you again next week, and roll Tide.
To Pearl River Resort.